to get into the flow. Yep, that Campbell sellouts.
The term generational talent gets thrown around way too often when it comes to prospect evaluation. To me, a generational talent is a player that would be a superstar regardless of the era that they play in. There is a certain caliber of human being that transcends the style of basketball that is considered modern when they are at the peak of their powers. The best of the best transform the sport. Steph Curry is the perfect example of this today. Has any one player changed the way that basketball is viewed and played more in a shorter period of time than Steph has? Talents like that are few and far between. We're talking like 25 players ever. Most players have their career defined by the era that they happen to be born into. Take Luka Garza, for example. Imagine what his combination of bully ball and three-point shooting would have been like in the 1990s. Or imagine just how good Grant Hill would have been today in an era of pace and space that prioritizes switchability and perimeter skill. Kevin Love is a great example of this. He entered the league when size still mattered. He hit his peak when pick and pop fours were the differentiators. It earned him more than $200 million and a title, spacing the floor for LeBron. And it also ensured that he still has $60 million more to make, despite the fact that he lacks the ability to play or defend in isolation on the perimeter. And that leads me to Evan Mobley. There is no player in this draft class that fits better in the era in which he's being drafted than Mobley does. If you had the ability to design a 19-year-old center for the modern NBA in a lab, you would design Evan Mobley. If your NBA 2K creative player is a center, you give him the same attributes as Evan Mobley's. He's part Giannis. He's part Anthony Davis. He's part Bam Adebayo and part Draymond Green. In an era where it's typically foolish to draft a center in the top 5, Mobley is the exception that proves the rule. All that said, I do keep finding myself asking the same question. In a draft that is this good at the top, can you take a player in the top 3 that may not end up as the first or second option on his team at the next level? That's where I'm currently at with Evan Mobley. Let's break it down. The totality with which Evan Mobley can do everything, quite literally, mind you, everything that a 5 is asked to do in the modern NBA is just incredible. Let's start with the defensive side of the ball first, because I think this is where he is a true game changer. Here's the proof. Andy Enfield has been a head coach for 9 seasons. In 7 of those 9 seasons, his team has finished outside of the top 80 in defensive efficiency, according to KenPom. This year, with Mobley, they finished 6th. It wasn't all him, but a lot of it was. Any box score watcher can figure out the exact kind of impact that Evan Mobley can have as a rim protector. He averaged 2.9 blocks this season as a 7-foot center with a 7'5" wingspan. That's pretty self-explanatory, but the reason he is such a promising defensive prospect goes beyond simply blocking a few shots. It's the stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. Mobley is mobile, meaning that he can do whatever a coach asks him to do when defending a ball screen. You want him to blitz the ball handler? He can do that. Want him to switch and stay in front of quick little guards? He's done that really, really well this season, including against some of the better point guards in the Pac-12. He sits in a stance, he moves his feet, and he allows his wingspan and the length of his strides to do most of the work for him. Defending NBA point guards in space is going to be a different beast than defending, say, Remy Martin or Isaac Bonton or whoever he is facing off with in college. But it's promising. What I think is more impressive and more important in terms of his projection to the next level is the ability that he has playing drop coverage, which is what so many NBA teams are doing these days. He has a terrific feel for how to corral a dribbler without overcommitting, using his positioning and his length to dissuade opposing point guards from trying to shoot over him while also eliminating passing lanes. When the ball does end up back with the screener, he can move well enough to close out as well. He does need to add some strength, and getting into an NBA strength and conditioning program will help make him more efficient and more fluid in his movement. But his ceiling is as such an impactful defender at the next level, and I don't think that ceiling is really all that far away. You can see him make strides throughout just this season. That said, he's so much more than simply a weapon on the defensive end of the floor. He's a lob target in ball screens. He only shot 30% from 3 this season, but he shot 70% from the free throw line, and his stroke looks pretty good when he has time and space. He's even shown the ability to make some shots off the dribble. He's not going to enter the league as, say, Jaren Jackson, but he will be a player that opposing defenses have to space to. And in the end, that is the most important thing when it comes to being a shooter. He also has an impressive handle for a kid that's 7 foot. He can bring the ball up the floor in transition. He's comfortable with the ball in his hands on the perimeter. And most importantly, he's a terrific passer and decision maker that should really thrive in short roll actions. I mean, just look at this pass. He catches the ball in the post, recognizes where the triple team is coming from, and immediately makes the correct read. Dunk. Or what about this pass? Arizona traps the ball screen, so Mobley slips. He recognizes Azuolas Tubelis is rotating to pick him up, and Benedict Mathurin is dropping in to pick up Isaiah White. This leaves Max Okungbola open in the opposite corner. Mobley's pass puts Arizona in rotation and eventually gets USC a layup. Mobley doesn't get an assist on this possession, but quick reads and accurate passes out of short rolls like this are precisely the kind of plays that he's going to have to make playing in ball screens at the next level. And then there's this play. How many 7-footers can do that? This is part of the reason why I push back a little bit on the Anthony Davis comparison. Given Mobley's ability to handle the ball and his passing, I actually think that he's better suited to playing a role similar to that of Bam Adebayo or Draymond Green. Those are two players with different physical tools and different skill sets, both of which differ from that of Mobley. But the job they are asked to perform on championship contending teams is the role that I think Mobley will thrive in. Be switchable, protect the rim, change games defensively, be a weapon as a passer, be a shooter, be a lob target. He literally does all of that. But that brings me to the biggest concern that I have with Mobley. I don't know if he'll ever be the number one option offensively on a team with title aspirations. I don't even know if he'll ever be the number 2 option. He's not assertive on the offensive end. He has a laid-back demeanor that can give off the vibe of being a bit passive, not having the passion that we want to see. The basketball-watching public loves guys that wear their emotions on their sleeves, even if all that screaming and chest pounding is an act to get attention. Either way, that's the knock, and there is some validity to it. Again, I'll invoke AD's name here. Before joining LeBron in LA, AD had clearly asserted himself as one of the most dominant players in the league. He was a 6-time All-Star. He was averaging 27 and 12 while blocking a couple shots and handing out a few assists every game. But he played in all of 3 playoff series in those 7 seasons, winning just one of them. He needed a number 1. He needed LeBron. And that's going to be the issue with taking Mobley over any of the other elite prospects in this draft. I think he's a title-winning sidekick, a guy with the potential to be the best number 2 in the NBA and a floor of being a top 5 to 8 defensive center in the league. I think there's a really good chance he ends up being the best all-around player in this draft. I may be on an island here, but I absolutely believe there is some merit to taking him number 1. I probably wouldn't pull the trigger. I also wouldn't begrudge any team that does. In a year where there are 4 guys that have the potential, some greater than others, to one day be the best player on a team that can win a title, there is going to be some risk in picking a player like Mobley in the top 4. But if there is one center that I've seen that is worth the risk, I do believe that it's Evan Mobley.
In the lawsuits against UConn and Colorado.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you liked what you saw here, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment. Interactions like that really do help grow the channel, and they help more people like you find this content. So if you liked what you saw here today and you want to help me out, that's all you got to do. See you on the next video.